Hi and welcome to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back, and if you're a new viewer, then thanks for stopping by. This video is all about a new radio, well, a new radio to me. It's not this one, it's this one. Now there's a marked difference between the two, as you can see. There's literally no front to this other than an on-off button. This is a Kenwood TS-B2000, and that's a Kenwood TS-2000. I'm sure you're all familiar with that one. This is the faceless version of that. Got all the same features, the same back, just literally nothing on the front other than a few connections and a button. So you operate that unit with this mobile head, a Kenwood RC2000, and miraculously all those buttons, which have multiple functions themselves, are replicated on this head unit. So the idea is, I'm going to go mobile for the first time ever. I've changed my car. This came along, an opportunity to buy this, so I couldn't resist, and I'm going to go for a mobile install. First thing I thought about was, well, if this ever breaks or I lose it, quite rare, how does that operate with no head unit? Well, fortunately, courtesy of Kenwood, we've got this software. It's ARCP2000. It's currently connected to the TS2000. You can see if I change the dial on the rig, the same happens there. So no need to panic if the head unit disappears. This can be still used as a under-the-counter black box and operate on a PC. So see how I get on. So before we start, just to explain the back of the rig, if you've not seen one before, same as the other TS2000, two HF antenna sockets, 2 meter sockets, 70 sems, that's an N. I haven't got the optional 23 sems on this. Power and various other sockets that you would see on other rigs. This is the panel connection, so that takes a lead to the remote, which has another connection there. You can see, annoyingly, the different sizes, but there you go. So if the rig is positioned in the car, the head unit obviously is going to be near the driver. So you've got to get that lead from the rig to the head unit. Similarly, you're going to have a microphone plugged in around the front. That needs to get to the driver, and similarly somewhere you need to plug in a speaker and get it to the car internals somehow, so you can hear it while you're driving or while you're parked up. Then wherever the radio is positioned, you need your antenna connection and a power supply connection. So there's a lot of wiring to be done. And the trick is to make it as discreet as possible without too much disruption. So while here, what I did when I first got the rig is give it a damn good clean, which I recommend anyone who gets anything second hand. The curly lead, the power leads, drag it through some kitchen roll that's wet with kitchen cleaner, and you'll be surprised how much black comes off stuff. I did some tests with this rig, it's fine, and then I found 70 sems had intermittent transmit. It would occasionally key up and then fail. So my thanks to Nigel, local amateur, who solved that problem for me and did a fix on the rig. So once that was fixed, I knew I was all ready to go. So the first challenge was to get an antenna mount to fit the roof of my car. The roof is mainly glass, with some aluminium as well, but this roof channel was a difficult one. There's a lot of mounts for roof bars, like this example here, that clamp on. Also brackets that clip onto the end of a tailgate or a hatchback or a boot, or a traditional mag mount as well, but there was nothing I could find that would fit my channel. So undeterred, I decided to make a bracket myself. I got some 3mm aluminium flat profile from the local DIY superstore and started to measure up and make cuts to make brackets that would fit the channels. I also got M5 stainless steel bolts and fittings, and here I'm just offering up the bolt just to check it's long enough to sandwich the two panels together. And at a couple of points along this channel there is wider gaps to take a roof rack, so that's the opportunity to slide in this bottom piece of aluminium. I didn't want to make it too short, i.e. the width of this gap, because I think that wouldn't be strong enough. So I've made it slightly longer, but that meant cutting out this small piece so it would fit in the channel, and then I could slide it along without it falling out. So here I've got the top and bottom pieces taped together so I can drill holes through both knowing they'll be aligned. And at each stage I keep offering the piece back up to the car just to check it fits the channel rail properly. So here I'm just temporarily using that bottom piece of aluminium on the top of the bracket just to get an idea of what this cross section is going to look like. Measuring the clearance for the antenna base. At this point I didn't have the coax fit in, so I wasn't sure what clearance I needed. This is the original piece of aluminium just being offered up to get an idea of width and length before making more cuts. So here I'm just checking clearances. The bolt that's going to hold that third top section, that the head and the locking star washer fits between the two sandwiched pieces on the rail. And I thought, just in case the coax fitting doesn't fit under that flat piece of bar, I made an S piece to raise up the bracket and give more clearance underneath. Well, my coax and fittings finally arrived, and I drilled a 10mm hole in that top plate and then filed it out further. Here you can see the coax fitting in place. Enough clearance on the roof, I didn't need that S piece after all. So the coax I'm using is RG316. It's nice and thin. I've got 3 meters length, which is 0.9 dB attenuation on 2 meters, which is my initial interest here. And one final addition, some double-sided adhesive backed foam. It's nice and thin, and if you leave the backing on one side you can stick it to the bracket, and then the backing allows it to slide along the channel, and the foam protects the car when you clamp the bolts down tight. And here you can see I've added a little bit of self-amalgamating tape on top of the shrink wrap to protect the coax. But what this photo also shows is the bracket is actually on an angle when fastened to the roof rails. I didn't realise that at first. The roof rails are on an angle out over, and it only becomes apparent when you have an antenna on. So I disassembled it all, which proved, I suppose, it does all still come back off. A gentle persuasion of the top bracket with a club hammer, and everything's straight and perfectly vertical. I tried painting the coax black like the bracket to blend in with the car, but the waxy coating meant the paint wouldn't take, so I wrapped it in electrician's tape. I did it long ways rather than spiral, and that worked best. So here we are with the antenna bracket finished on the car, painted black so it blends in. I've changed the protector cap and painted that as well, hammer fingernail. So here on the bottom of there is a locking star washer on that bolt, plus this extra locking nut on the top. I've reversed that round to keep the profile low, so the nut's on the bottom again with a locking washer, and it fits in that gap between the two plates, so that's fine. Yeah, and as I said, this is all glass, and this is a hollow partition which the sunroof retracts into, so lots of non-metallic surfaces. Having covered the coax in tape, what I've done now is actually taped it to the car. This looks like a hatchback, but it isn't. It's a side opening door. So I've put some good quality 3M tape on there just to make it blend in a bit more, but I could try and go through these panels, but taking all this off on a new car is going to be not something I wanted to do. So I'll go around the back and show you where this goes. So as I said, taped on down the back of the car. I've put a light on so you can see, so I've just taped under there, so we're on the other side of the rubber protector, and basically the coax is just snuck down behind that panel there, and if I turn this light off again, it comes down here. You can just move that, just make it out down there, down along here, not only here to the bottom. So this is where it enters the boot. Now I've left that visible just to remind you that it's there basically, so as things are getting lifted in and out of here, that's a visual reminder that there's some coax and not to catch it, but just tape it on there. Now I don't think this is going to cause problems in terms of water ingress. I've washed the car, as you can tell there, and got no problems at all. So this 3 meter run goes into the boot. So if I lift this tray, it runs along this polystyrene, pops out there. So that was bang on 3 meters. So you can see here, there's the mic lead, there's the speaker connector, there's the head unit lead. I've got a story about that, and this is the power lead. Now On modern cars, there's a potential risk of connecting to the battery. What I'm going to do is, if I close this, I'm going to put a LiFePO 4 battery there when I know I'm going out portable, or mobile should I say, and I can attach a retaining strap there and on there as well if I want. So I'll just leave that in the boot with Anderson connectors, and then I can always put a battery in if I need it. So in this space is where the rig's going to go, the B2000. You get lots of brackets for fixing, but I'm going to just sit it on this floor and just have some padding to stop it moving around, but also ensuring there's airflow. Now you'd think it might still be an issue when you close that, it's sealed off, but in fact, I don't know if you can see, but at that end, you might not be able to see, but there is a gap. So the front of the rig's going to be here, that's the back with the cables, that's where it vents. So as well as this space, there's an opportunity for air to go up through that gap there and vent out. So I think it should be okay. At worst, if I know I'm going to do a long operating session, I could just prop that up. Obviously the boot won't be as clear as this. So like the coax, the other challenge is to hide these cables. As you saw with the bracket, there's a lot of dry fitting and tests before going for an install, and here the supplied lead was just too short to get to the head unit. How annoying. Right, so here we are in the front of the car. That's where I want the head unit, the best place for it. I've tried all sorts of places. And I've ran the control cable round the dash to the back of the car, which I'll show you in a minute. Down here I've got the microphone, and that runs to the back of the car on that side. I might change that to a hands-free headset. And I've also got the speaker just loose in the back at the moment. I've got a Bluetooth sender on order, and that might allow me to get the audio through the car speakers. So the head unit is going to be temporarily in position. I'll be able to disconnect it when I'm not using it. I'm going to put a piece of aluminium down that gap with some grey velcro so it blends in, and then I'll be able to just stick the head unit on there. It weighs virtually nothing, out of the way of any airbags, and then this cable runs along the back of the dash. You can't see it from the front either, so it's well hidden, apart from here where it shows in front of this vent. Then it goes down the side of the door panel behind this rubber, and then down across the floor there. You can see it there, and then to the back of the car. It's way to the back of the car, behind the driver's seat. It's nowhere near where you're going to be getting in, so it's out the way. It just has to come up out of the rubber trim into the car around there, and I'll just show you where that goes. And then it disappears under here. This has got like a spongy floor, so it's easy to get a wire under here, along there, along the back seat. So we're in back seat territory now, and then it just appears and sneaks under there. So if I lift this seat base, there you can see the wire disappears that way. Good design in this seat base. I don't know if it's why it's like this, but there's a lovely groove, and I've used it for the microphone on that side. A lovely groove to get under the seat and then down into the car, so that's quite a useful feature. If I drop the seat back, and there you can see the head unit, the coax, and we're in the boot again. So that's the head unit wire. That was a new lead, 5 meters long, longer than the original that came with the rig. That was too short. So here we're on the other side of the car to follow the mic lead. Let's move that speaker out of the way. So under the seat, there's that groove down there past the hinge. This is the current way I've got it. I might, having put the head unit lead under this panel, I might try it on this side. It's just the mic lead's a thicker round cable than the flat head unit cable, so maybe not, who knows. So then it comes down the front of the seat under this rubber mat, it's not low, it's heavy footfall, so it'll be fine under there. And then disappears under the centre console. And if you come around here, I know this is not new to a lot of people, but it might help some. And then it feeds under this centre console. You can get your hands underneath, and effectively just pops up here and back at the front of the car again. So there's just that speaker to sort back there. I can possibly put it down here. There's a gap under here. I know people have fitted CB radios, small radios in here, and taken a feed from the lighter socket. But I'm hoping the Bluetooth might sort things out for me. And thumbs up to Kenwood, way back when, making this thing grey, because it does really blend in nicely with the car, and with all the wires hidden, even the station manager approves. So I've got a thumbs up there. So you get the idea. Something like that, either that battery or a smaller one, tied to the lashing points and just held in place. Not the antenna I wanted, but silver's all I had. So here we are at the sharp end. And there we are, 2 meters. It'll be quiet because it's the start of the working week. And like I said, this unit, once you get used to it, it's got all sorts of different multi-uses and some simple functions for these buttons, which is what this is on now. You can go into a more detailed view, but here you can pull up memory. So I've got repeaters, so I'll just try that one. Golf 0 Charlie November listening through. And that was the Richmond repeater in North Yorkshire. That's the Crook in County Durham. That's some interference. So yeah, really pleased with that. The sound's coming from behind us at the moment, but yeah, I think the Bluetooth will be an interesting thing. I've set the settings in this as well, so it'll turn off after inactivity, so if you forget to leave it on. But as I say, I'm going to use the battery as a temporary feature, so when I'm not using radio, this will be unplugged and the battery will be unplugged as well. So yeah, so good install. I've learned a lot through that. I've still got some options which I'll just cover now. Right, so options. This is a Diamond NR770H antenna. It's chrome. I wanted a black one, the HB version, but there aren't any in the UK. It'll only be on when I'm operating, but the chrome look just doesn't suit the black car. It's a dual band antenna, 2 and 70 sems. So if you recall, around here we're currently just plugged into the 2 meter socket, so 70 sems down there as well. This is an all band HF, VHF, UHF transceiver, so covers all the amateur bands from 160 meters to 70 centimeters. If I get a duplexer, that'll allow me to run 2 antenna ports on the back of the radio into the one antenna, so I can use 2 and 70 sems, but also if I get a triplexer which has HF filtering, I can have HF, VHF and UHF all through the one coax, all through the one base. Now it's unlikely I'm going to be running HF and VHF at the same time, so I could probably get away with this one mount. I'm not planning on going mobile HF, but mobile HF antennas are quite large. If I fixed one on here and I found this was flexing, I don't think it will, it's very solid. I could sandwich another 3mm plate on that bracket and put two together, but I think, well, I'll just see how that goes. But I don't think I'm going to operate mobile with HF. I'll be static mobile. I could also put the same bracket on that side. I could run two. Now that would save me having a triplexer and that cost, but then I'd have to factor in the cost of another coax run around this side of the car. So I've got options. So with a Bluetooth dongle for hopefully the speaker, some sort of hands-free headset, and a HF antenna, I've got extra things to try. So there's probably a follow-up video just to show you how I get on. And these are the sizes of the plates that I'm used for a Land Rover Defender L663. The antenna mounting hole and the screw holes, I'm sure you can decide yourself. If you like the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. There's lots more to come, and hit the bell so you're notified of new videos when they're released.